I woke up to the sound of waves smashing against jagged rocks, the wind howling through a cracked lighthouse window, like it had a mouth and teeth. My head throbbed as if someone had been banging a drum inside my skull, and my eyes snapped open to see the grey morning light cutting through the narrow slit of the glass. I didn't know my name. I didn't know how I got here. And worse, nothing about me made sense. My clothes were damp, my hands scraped, and the salt smell was sharp and choking. Somewhere deep inside I knew I wasn't supposed to be here, but why? I couldn't remember. I couldn't remember anything. On a rickety wooden table beside the window lay a leather-bound journal. Its cover was worn, the corners frayed, but the handwriting inside was precise, almost urgent. I picked it up and opened it. The first line hit me like a wave crashing over my chest. Alex, if you are reading this, follow every instruction exactly. Your life depends on it. Alex. That was my name. Somehow my own name made me shiver. The words beneath it were not vague, they were specific. Step outside at dawn. Check the eastern cliff for rocks shifted by the storm. Retrieve the red flare from the supply box. And so on. I glanced out the window. The cliff was jagged, white foam hissing like it was alive. My instincts screamed to stay inside, but something about the journal's certainty felt necessary. I dressed quickly, shoving my damp clothes into the corner, and followed the instructions. Each task in the journal was small at first, mundane even, but the further I went, the stranger things became. The journal knew things it shouldn't have known, rocks that had fallen just yesterday, a rope frayed at a precise spot, a tide that had shifted unusually fast. I felt watched. Every rustle of seaweed, every gull call, made my heart hammer. I couldn't remember my past, but this journal, it made me feel tethered to something real, something important. By the third day, the instructions became urgent, dangerous even. Move the supply crates to the northern cove. Check the tide every hour. Do not leave the cliff after sunset. I didn't understand why, but fear had a way of honing focus, and I obeyed. The cliffs were treacherous and jagged teeth that threatened to snap my ankles at every step. Mist rolled in thick, swallowing the horizon and making the waves sound like they were right behind me, trying to reach me. Then the threats started appearing. First, it was small things. A fishing boat capsized too close to shore. Flares that went off by themselves in the rocks. Shadows I could swear weren't mine. And then the attacks began. It was subtle at first. A rope snapping. A crate sliding toward me as if pushed. A gust of wind that knocked me off balance. Every time, I looked for answers, but the journal only instructed me further. Do not look back. Continue to the northern cove. Trust the plan. I began doubting my own mind. The journal, it seemed, was alive in some way, predicting every danger, every mistake I could make. I started carrying a knife and rocks in my pockets, checking behind me constantly, jumping at every sound. My reflection in the lighthouse mirror was pale and hollow, eyes wide with fear. Who was I? Why was I here? And who had written this journal? That seemed to know me better than I knew myself. The turning point came on the fifth night. The storm hit, with the fury of 1,000 storms. Rain fell in sheets, and the wind screamed through the lighthouse like it wanted to tear the whole structure down. I clutched the journal to my chest, reading instructions by candlelight. Stay in the lighthouse until the storm passes. When the storm dies, descend to the eastern cliff. You must save them. Them. Save them? I had no idea who them was. My mind raced, panic threatening to suffocate me. I lit the flare in my hand, stepping out into the tempest because the journal demanded it, and the rain struck my face like needles. Visibility was zero. The cliff's edge was a whisper in the chaos. Then, through the storm, I saw it, faint figures struggling in the water, a small boat broken in two. My heart froze. I didn't know these people, but the journal had been leading me here all along. I ran. Every step was a gamble. The wind pushing me backward, the ground slick with mud. When I reached the water, I waded in, icy waves clawing at my legs. and I pulled as many as I could to the shore. By the time the storm relented, 3 people were coughing and shaking, alive because I had followed the journal. That night, I collapsed in the lighthouse, exhausted, drenched, but alive. And then I noticed it, a note tucked into the back of the journal, one I hadn't seen before. The handwriting was mine, but older, steadier, less desperate. It read, "If you are reading this, Alex, you are me. I died saving them, but a piece of me remained here, in these instructions. You are the culmination of those acts. This lighthouse is not a trap. It is reflection. You carry their lives and memories forward. Do not fear. You are who I was meant to be." I sat in stunned silence, letting the words sink in, my own handwriting, and telling me that I wasn't just following a plan. I was the plan. Every step, every life I saved, every risk I took, it had all been designed by me, a version of me that no longer existed, and now I was here, living the echoes of my own heroism. The days after the storm were quieter, but the suspense never fully lifted. I explored the lighthouse, searching for any other clues about my past, my purpose. I found photographs hidden in a loose brick, smiling faces, places I didn't remember, but each one felt familiar, memories not my own, or maybe memories I had yet to remember. The journal, once my tether, became a mirror, reflecting not just instructions but a life I had forgotten. Then came the final test. A fire broke out in the lighthouse kitchen, probably from a candle knocked over in the wind. Smoke choked the air, flames creeping toward the stairwell where the journal sat. Panic surged, but I acted without thinking, following the instincts ingrained by the journal's lessons. I threw the journal to safety, then smothered the flames with wet blankets. My hands burned, my lungs screamed. But the journal, my own past self, was safe. It was in that moment I understood fully. The lighthouse was never a prison or a trap. It was a forge. It shaped me, honed me, forced me to confront danger and fear in ways that memory alone could never teach. Each instruction, each threat had been a lesson, a rehearsal, a way to make me capable of being who I was supposed to be, a guardian of lives, a carrier of memory, a continuation of my own past heroism. Weeks passed. I began writing in a new journal, my own words, instructions for someone or something who might follow me. I didn't know if it would ever be found, but I wrote anyway, because the act itself grounded me. The lighthouse no longer felt hostile. It was a vessel of understanding. I knew who I was now. I wasn't trapped in amnesia. I was chosen to continue what the other me had started. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, I climbed to the top of the lighthouse. The ocean stretched endlessly, waves glittering with the last light of day. I held the journal in my hands, feeling the weight of every decision, every life saved, and then I understood the ultimate twist. I had never truly lost my memory. My amnesia was the crucible I needed to become fully myself. The version of me who had died was not gone. He had prepared me, guided me, and given me the chance to understand my purpose fully. I smiled, a mixture of relief and awe. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, I was free, not free of danger, not free of responsibility, but free of doubt. The lighthouse was no longer a place of fear. It was a monument to the lives I carried forward, a reminder that memory, identity, and courage could survive even the darkest storms. And as I watched the waves crash against the cliffs below, I felt the presence of that other me, not as a ghost, but as an echo, a guide. The journal lay open beside me, blank pages ready for the story I was destined to write. Every step I would take, every life I would touch, every choice I would make, was now mine, and mine alone, yet deeply connected to the man who had come before me. I turned back to the lighthouse, the wind still fierce, but no longer threatening. I was Alec. I was the culmination of my own courage, and I was finally awake, not just in body, but in purpose. And in that moment, I knew, with a clarity that pierced every lingering doubt, that the storm had not destroyed me. It had made me whole. The journal closed with a soft thud, and for the first time, I did not feel fear. I felt connection. I felt legacy. And I knew that wherever the next storm came, that I would face it, not as an amnesiac lost on the Oregon coast, but as the sum of every heroic act that had ever defined me. The lighthouse stood tall behind me, the ocean roared before me, and I, Alex, was ready.